Okay, if you're gearing up for the GED Math test, you know some questions are they're designed to look scary. Well, today, we are going to tackle one of those head on. We're going to give you a super simple strategy to solve it every single time. We call it Power Move 9.
Hey everyone, we're the Cool Cats team, and what we do is pretty simple. We hunt down the absolute smartest and quickest strategies out there to help you crush the GED. We do all the digging so you can just focus on passing. So let's just dive right in.
So picture this. You open your test and you see a question asking for the distance between 2 points on a grid. If your first thought is, oh no, trust me, you are not alone. It looks super complicated, right? But what if I told you there's an easy way to solve this?
And that, my friends, is where Power Move 9 comes in. This is the one strategy that's going to turn that confusing mess of dots and lines into a really simple problem that you've probably already solved a dozen times before.
So, you want to know the secret? Here it is. Anytime you're asked to find that straight line distance between 2 points on a grid, you're not really doing that. You're just solving for the long side of a right triangle. That's right. It means the good old Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, is the only tool you're going to need.
Just as a quick refresher, remember, in any right triangle, you've got the two shorter sides. We call them the legs, A and B. And then you have the longest side, the one that's opposite the right angle, and that's the hypotenuse, C. The whole theorem is just this. You square the two legs, you add them up, and boom, you get the square of the hypotenuse.
Okay, so before we jump back to that intimidating grid problem, let's just warm up with a classic example. This is going to help lock the process in your brain.
All right, let's imagine a really basic right triangle. We know one leg, A, is 9 units long, and the other leg, B, is 12. All we have to do is find the length of C, the hypotenuse.
So let's just follow the formula. Step 1, we square the legs. So 9 squared is 81, and 12 squared is 144. Step 2, we add them together. 81 plus 144 gives us 225. Now remember, that 225 is C squared. So for the final step, we just have to take the square root to find C by itself.
And the square root of 225 is 15. That is it. The length of the hypotenuse is 15. See? Not so scary, right?
All right, warm-up is over. Let's take that exact same logic and apply it to that coordinate grid problem that we started with.
And here it is again. We've got 2 points, one at -2, 3, and the other at 5, -1. And you have to remember, that word distance is just a code word. It means find the hypotenuse of a triangle that's hiding right there on the grid.
So the big question is, how do we find the lengths of our A and B on a grid? It's easy. We just find the distance between the x values and then the distance between the y values. That horizontal change and that vertical change, those are the legs of our hidden triangle.
Let's do the math. For the change in x, we subtract the x coordinates, so 5 minus -2. Now be careful, subtracting a negative is the same as adding, so that gives us 7. For the change in y, we subtract the y coordinates, -1 minus 3, which is -4. So there we have it, our two legs are 7 and -4.
And just like that, we're back on familiar ground. We just plug our leg lengths, 7 and -4, right into the formula. This gives us C equals the square root of 7 squared plus -4 squared. But wait, stop. Right here is a super common trap that you have got to avoid. So let's just pause for a really important pro tip. I'm serious, getting this next part right is often the difference between getting the question right or wrong on the real test. Look really closely here. The mistake people make is they forget what happens when you square a negative number. -4 squared is not -16. It's -4 times -4, which makes it a positive 16. You have to remember this. A negative number squared is always positive. This is probably one of the biggest traps on the GED, so please burn this into your memory.
So when we do it the right way, our equation becomes the square root of 49 plus 16, not minus 16. And that gives us the square root of 65.
Now you might be thinking, 65 isn't a perfect square, and you're right, but that's totally fine. You get a calculator on the GED. So you just punch in the square root of 65, and you get about 8.06. And that's it. That's our answer. The distance between those 2 points is 8.06. We did it!
Okay, let's do a quick recap of Power Move 9. First thing, always spot that hidden right triangle, even when it's on a grid. Next, remember its legs are just the change in x and the change in y.
Then, you just use your good old formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And don't forget, you take the square root at the very end. And finally, our pro tip. Say it with me. A negative number squared is always positive.
So I want you to think about that for a second. What was the biggest aha moment for you just now? Was it when you realized that this whole coordinate grid thing is really just a simple triangle problem in disguise? Or was it that crucial tip about squaring the negative numbers? We actually really want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let us know what part of this was the most helpful for you, or maybe what you were getting stuck on before this. You know, sharing this stuff really helps everybody learn.
And hey, if you found this helpful and you want more strategies just like this to help you ace the GED, you know what to do? Make sure to like this and subscribe to the channel. We have a ton more power moves coming your way. Thanks for watching.